Welcome to section 20.13 of Metabolism. In this video, we'll focus on memorizing the details of vitamin K. In this scene, imagine a post-apocalyptic zombie world full of some cartoon characters from The Simpsons. First off, notice this crusty-looking clown character in his car. He's been stopped by soldiers who are trying to fend off the zombie invasion. So think crusty-looking clown character for vitamin K. Notice that this soldier is using a special epoxy glue gun designed specifically for making zombies get stuck to the ground. Also notice that this soldier is waving to our crusty character as if telling him to come forward. So in a sense, he's kind of activating the crusty character. The epoxy gun, along with this soldier waving to the clown, should help you remember that vitamin K is activated by epoxide reductase to the reduced form of vitamin K. This little scene here is a miniature war between the zombies and the soldiers, and the zombies are overwhelming this soldier with the epoxy gun. Therefore, this scene represents that warfarin inhibits epoxide reductase. So think mini war for warfarin, and the zombies overwhelming and inhibiting this soldier guy with the epoxy gun for epoxide reductase. So warfarin inhibits epoxide reductase. Next, notice that the clown's car is being scanned by this special green light. With the rise of the zombies, a special scanner has been invented to detect zombies. So these soldiers are scanning the clown's car to see if he is a zombie or if he's transporting any zombies. Luckily for our crusty-looking clown character, he's not a zombie, at least not yet. The green light looks kind of like a ray, so think of it as a gamma ray. In this case, the gamma ray refers to the idea that the reduced version of vitamin K is used as a cofactor for the gamma carboxylation of glutamic acid residues for blood clotting. So gamma ray for gamma carboxylation. Okay, let's take a break from the terrifying zombies and look at these beautiful flowers for a minute. Notice that the flowers are in the gutter. We've also placed them here because the gutter is a gross reservoir for bacteria, so it's kind of like a metaphor for the intestines. Therefore, the flowers in the gutter allude to the idea that vitamin K is produced by the intestinal flora. Hopefully you enjoyed the respite because now we're going to talk about zombie birds. Notice that there are little white seeds in the center of the flowers that look kind of like pills. These are used in the image to represent antibiotics. Zombies destroy everything, so of course these zombie birds have decided to eat the seeds and destroy these beautiful flowers. Therefore, the flowers and seeds being eaten and destroyed by zombie birds represents that antibiotic use can cause a vitamin K deficiency by disrupting the normal intestinal flora. Hopefully this is pretty logical. The bacteria in the intestines normally produce vitamin K, so drugs that kill these bacteria can cause a vitamin K deficiency. Okay, it's time to add a mischievous kid to the scene. Most of the time he misbehaves, but in this image, he's the hero, which I'll talk about in a second. Notice that the baby zombie is sitting next to several streaks of blood. This represents that neonates are at an increased risk of hemorrhage for multiple reasons, including the sterility of their gastrointestinal tract. One of the most feared complications in neonates with a vitamin K deficiency is intracranial hemorrhage. So the blood next to the baby represents that a vitamin K deficiency can result in neonatal hemorrhage. Okay, notice that the baby is being injected with something. Fortunately, the mischievous kid found the cure for zombies and is now going to save this baby zombie. The injection here and the baby being saved should help you remember that neonates are given vitamin K injections at birth to prevent neonatal hemorrhage. Okay, let's spice up the scene with a bit more action. Some more zombies came into the scene when this soldier in the truck spotted them. Unlike his comrades with epoxy guns, this guy isn't messing around. He's using lethal force with this automatic assault rifle. As he loads several hundred rounds into the zombies, his machine gun makes a rattling sound, just like you see in the image. Notice that this is spelled with one P and several T's. Therefore, this represents that a vitamin K deficiency can cause an increase in PTT. We'll also have this paratrooper guy landing on the road to help fight the zombies, just in the nick of time. The word paratrooper has the letters P and T and fits nicely with this war scene. So our paratrooper guy here represents that a vitamin K deficiency can result in increased PT. So remember, if a newborn is bleeding and labs come back with an elevated PT and PTT, then you should be thinking about a vitamin K deficiency. Okay, let's transition and discuss the clotting factors and proteins that vitamin K is associated with. This entire scene towards the back of the image by the church represents these ideas, but it can be a bit hard to see, so let's zoom up on these details. Once again, the military has come to the rescue with a truck full of supplies, a canine dog unit, and several other soldiers. Notice that one of the soldiers' helmets has the letter C on it, which represents that he's a corporal in the military. This should help you remember that vitamin K is necessary for the maturation of protein C, which is involved in coagulation. His comrade's helmet has the letter S on it, which represents that he's a sergeant in the military. This should help you remember that vitamin K is also necessary for the maturation of protein S. The K9 dog unit helping out the soldiers represents factor 9. So vitamin K is necessary for the maturation of factor 9 in the clotting cascade. Off to the side, notice that this bald guy eating a donut is reading the sign on the church about the 7 deadly sins. It's a bit ironic that one of the sins listed is gluttony, but he doesn't seem to care too much. He's more interested in living out his last moments in bliss. Hence the donut. The scene here with the donut and the sign on the church about the 7 deadly sins should help you remember that vitamin K is necessary for the maturation of clotting factor 7. The Reverend seems upset with this sinner's behavior, so he tries to knock his donut out of his hand but misses, and instead knocks over his glass of milk. The glass of milk shattering on the ground should help you remember that vitamin K is not in breast milk. Okay, now let's turn our attention to this soldier to the left who's throwing a grenade at a zombie. He threw it just in the nick of time. Any slower, and he likely would have been bitten. Throw sounds like thrombin, so this part of the scene should help you remember that vitamin K is necessary for the maturation of factor 2, or thrombin. Finally, if you look closely at the side of the military truck, you can see that it says 10 ways to kill a zombie. These soldiers have made it their life's mission to kill zombies, so they've become very creative in doing so. Just think back to the machine gun, the epoxy gun, and now this grenade. As you can see, there are many ways to kill a zombie. So if you're ever in a post-apocalyptic world full of zombies, maybe you'll remember this image and figure out how to defeat the zombies. The sign on this truck should help you remember that vitamin K is necessary for the maturation of factor 10. Let's finish this image with discussing names for different types of vitamin K. If you look closely at the religious staff the Reverend is holding up at the top, it looks kind of like a queen's crown. The reference to the queen should help you remember menaquinone. So queen for menaquinone. Okay, now let's zoom out and add one more scene to the image. Notice that these two guys fighting off to the right have been added to the image. The fight should help you remember phytomenadione and phytonadione. Notice that this guy's name is Phil, and he's pretty proud of his name, so he wears a shirt around with his name on it. Seems pretty silly, but it's the end of the world, so oh well. Phil should help you remember phylloquinone. And that concludes our video on vitamin K.